What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, apologies on the lack of videos last week. To be honest, not much happened. As you can see, my markings are still up from last week, and you'll see there wasn't much movement at all. We remained pretty consolidated. You can see I pretty much stayed in the range and on a weekly level. So from here you can see how price, not much happened. We did manage to trade slightly lower, but yeah, not really much happened that needed me to necessarily be making videos every day. But nonetheless, we're here. Hope everybody's had a good weekend, and of course, first we're going to start off with the high impact news that we have coming up this week. So I didn't even realize, but it's already that time of the month where we have the Fed interest rate decisions, which is crazy, which is taking place on Wednesday. So yeah, that's gonna cause a lot of movement. I don't like trading the Wednesdays with the Fed rate decisions because you tend not to see much movement till later on in the day, and then what happens is it runs into the Thursday, and then there's usually decent setups in the Thursday and Friday. But as you can see, we have high impact news pretty much every day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then none on Friday. But nonetheless, I am expecting price to be quite volatile and get in on quite some nice moves this week. So I will be posting daily. Make sure to turn on post notifications right now so you don't miss out. And yeah, let's look at how the month's performing so well. We're coming to the end of, well, we're halfway through the month of March. We had a crazy delivery to the downside. And if you watched last week's videos, you'll know that I'm looking at this fair value gap. So I'm going to go over a few things nonetheless, and pretty much a lot of what I've already drawn our attention to in previous videos, as in last week, remains very much the same, in that I'm expecting price to trade down into this monthly fair value gap, and more specifically to the 50% level of it. That's what I want to see get traded to. So I'm going to get that marked out. Make sure you have your snacks. This is going to be quite a long video, guys. In fact, let me get rid of this first. There we go. So this is the high of a monthly fair value gap. And then we want to get the low of the monthly fair value gap marked out as well. Oh. Apologies, guys. It's been a while. I have been ill, as you can probably tell in my voice. Right, low monthly fair value gap, cool. And then yeah, like last week's video, as I was saying, I'm looking for price to trade to the 50% level. Now we didn't reach that 50% level, or what we call consequent encroachment, last week. So this still remains relevant, as in I still expect price to use this as a target. So this is where I'm looking for price to want to trade to in the new week. So let's get that delineated. I'm going to make it dashed, and then I'm just going to write monthly consequent encroachment. I usually just put MCE. So now we have three levels. Mainly the fair value gap is what we want to pay attention to, but generally speaking, as we move into the next week, I want to see price continue lower and trade to the consequent encroachment. So what does this mean? I'm not expecting price to necessarily fill the fair value gap, but if it's going to go anywhere and any deeper, and we are on the downside of the curve, as in, we're delivering to the downside, then I'm looking for that 50% level as the next target, which is why I've delineated that like so. And then let's go down to the weekly and take a closer look. And you can see that lines up with the fair value gap. So again, I did mark all of this out last week, but no worries. We'll just go over it. This is a fair value gap down here, which I want to see get traded to. And in terms of the premium, there is obviously last week's high that might want to get ran, but ideally I'd like to think that price can just continue and roll straight down to this discount, because I am genuinely looking for this monthly fair value gap to start getting traded into. So we should be bearish until proven otherwise. If this is our end target for the week, so if we're expecting the week to not close, but if this is our target for the week, as in we want to see price manage to expand down into this, that means we need to anticipate that some kind of high is made before that, and then price can expand lower. So where would we want that high to be made? Well, we don't want price to go any higher than this inversion fair value gap, and I'll show you this right here. We don't expect price to be able to get back above there, because we've closed on the downside, significantly lower on the downside as well. And as we drop down to the lower time frames, we should be able to find more PD arrays ideally that can help stack on top of that to give us kind of a range, as in, okay, this is the high, so I expect price to trade, and then this is where I want to see price manage to expand down into. So let's go down to the daily, take a closer look. You can see how we took out these highs here and here. one thing to take note of is look at volume and this volume imbalance. So you see how how volume is managing to stay respectively below this volume imbalance. Look at that. You can't really make that up. And the way that we've ran out this high here, so we've taken out a few highs here, here, and here. Ideally, I'm not expecting price to be able to trade anywhere above here, really. It's not that price can do it, it's just that ideally it doesn't. So to help add to that, I am going to be paying close attention to the previous 2 days wicks, because wicks are gaps too. We should use them to our advantage in that, you know, if we do see any kind of rallying, it should rally to either the 50% level or the 25% level of the wicks. Any higher than that, then and only then would I start thinking about us getting into these highs here and here. But first, it's going to be, you know, obviously the previous wicks, especially since, you know, when there's two wicks beside each other, essentially, you know, you've had upside, downside, all within the same range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this wick out. I'm going to make it blue. And I'm going to mark out the 50% level. And this now gives me a boundary as to the highest I'd want to see price rally, say on Monday or Tuesday, before we see any kind of expansion to the downside, which is ideally what I'm looking for. So let's go to the 4 hour real quick. And you can see here's those highs I was talking about. So we took out this high here. And then we've taken out this high here. And then look what happened. As soon as we took out this high here, what happened? We had crazy displacement to the downside, running out all of these lows, very aggressive, and with on a closing basis as well. And you'll see how this wick was on the back of high impact news, and it was kind of like, you know, just a snatch of buy side liquidity. So anyone that was short would have been absolutely slaughtered in this, and then anyone who went short on top of that would have been slaughtered here. So it seems like they're clearing out all these highs. Why? Because remember, our higher time frame target is still down here. So as long as price continues to play into this narrative, I'm happy to remain bearish on dollar until we reach down here. So another thing to take note of, and one thing we can't really avoid or, you know, ignore, is this massive gap we have right here. And you'll see that just lines up nicely with this wick I was talking about from the daily. So what am I expecting? Basically Monday or Tuesday, I want to see price create some kind of high, and this range is where I'm happy for that high to be made. And then it just happens that this high as well within the wick range, that 25% level, also lines up with this fair value gap. Now I'm not going to mark out any more things on the chart, and I'm not going to talk too much on the hourly just because it's Sunday and, you know, it's not worth saying too much. But make sure you turn on post notifications so you don't miss tomorrow's video. But my point is, I'm happy for price to rally early in the week, and, you know, this fair value gap would be an area that I'd happily see get filled, and then I'd want to see some kind of resistance and price start to push on lower. Now these two up close candles are bearish order blocks, so again, if price rallies into that, that's more reason as to why we should find rejection there. If price manages to violate this level, which is the 50% level from the daily wicks, remember, if price manages to violate that, it will likely find support, and then and only then would I start thinking about a potential for us to run maybe up into some kind of premium up here. But ideally, price will find rejection, and then we can start quite easily and simply pushing into these lows. Remember, this is that monthly fair value gap. It's a very high time frame PD array, and then we have a south side liquidity pool residing below here. So I hope that all makes sense. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on dollar. Let's go to the 1 hour, take a little bit of a closer look. Again, the markets haven't opened yet, but in tomorrow's video we will be looking at that Sunday opening price. We'll be paying very close attention to it and looking at how price uses it, and I do this pretty much every week to then gyrate and navigate itself. But the way it's taken out these highs and the way we've displaced on Friday last week, I want to see continued resistance, because after consolidation comes expansion. So, you know, it's just a matter of waiting on that expansion, and that will likely happen, you know, on the back of the high impact news that we have with the Fed rate decision. Yeah, so definitely going to be interesting Monday and Tuesday's videos. Again, I don't tend to trade Wednesdays just because they can be messy, but then what you'll find is the rest of the week can be quite fun, as in a lot of volatility. So yeah, once we're starting this consolidation for the past couple of weeks, I guess it's just a matter of being patient. Yeah, let's head on to GBP USD. So all my markings are still here from last week, and if you know, again, if you watched last week's video, I only posted like twice. I'm looking for price run up into buy side liquidity above here, and that's in line with pretty much dollar, with my expectation of lower prices. You'll see how we tap down to the 50% level of this range, of this, is it an order block? I can't fully recall, but we're going to clear the charts nonetheless. Yeah, we're going to clear the charts nonetheless. But you can see this is on a 4 hour, and you can see how very consolidated it is. And when prices like this, sometimes it's not even worth analyzing it too deeply, just because it's going to stay like this until we expand out of it, and it's just going to keep, it's very messy to play around in. So I'm not going to talk too much necessarily on this time frame, but generally speaking, my draw, obviously, if we're expecting dollar to be trading lower, is for pound to be reaching up into some kind of premiums. And on the monthly, you can see there's a nice implied fair value gap above here, which I don't speak much on. And then, similarly on the weekly, there's highs which I want to see get ran, particularly these highs, 1, 2, 3. These are relatively equal highs which I want to get traded to. So let's go back to the monthly, and there's not really much up here in terms of other than the bearish order block, but using that as a target isn't really ideal. More so it's highs which I'm attracted to, as in I'm looking for price I want to trade to, because that's where the liquidity is, and that's where price is going to want to ideally draw to. And then if we drop down to the weekly, you'll see that those highs are pretty much lined up with that. More specifically, yeah, these three, 1, 2, 3, these are relatively equal. So I'm looking for price to want to draw up and obviously tap into that. There's also a breaker up here as well. High, low, higher, high, and this last down close candle before that bearish order block would be the breaker. So that's another reason as to why we'd expect price to want to trade up into that buy side liquidity. Now, if we're expecting price to keep running, so if on the high time frame, we're expecting pound to start rallying, like I've got my eyes set on these highs up here. If I'm expecting price to want to get up into there, then in that case we can start thinking about these highs as well. It's just that next week we don't. This would be a much higher time frame target. It's just next week I want to see this buy side like liquidity get traded to, and then I do really like the look of this weekly fair value gap here as a nice target for price as well. So let's get that delineated like so. And then in the new week, again, I'm happy for some kind of low to get created. So I'm expecting price to drop to an extent, and then I want to see us, reverse maybe on the Wednesday or Thursday, and then start to expand and keep pushing into that premium. So let's go to the daily, and yeah, there's really not much to show here, so to speak. We have this bullish order block that we've been tapping into a few times, 1, 2, 3 times we've tapped into it. But again, I just showed you on the 4 hour time frame, like it's really consolidated at this point. I don't really want to be marking highs and lows. One thing that I'm paying close attention to is though, so if we go in the daily again, so you see that this low has been taken right here. That's been grabbed. This outside liquidity below this low in this fair value gap has been grabbed, and then we had a large expansion outside, and since then we've been above it. So as far as I'm concerned, moving into the new week, ideally price shouldn't be able to get back below this low, and if it does, then it's slightly going to expand quite a lot lower, and then we'll start looking into these lows. And I say that because it's almost like, I don't like using the word confirmation. I know you guys love keywords and hot buzzwords like that, but it is a level of confirmation to me that, like, look, we've gone up, tapped it onto the next level kind of thing. Like, I don't really want to see price get down below here. So this is, if I'm going to have any kind of boundary, it will be here, as in I'm happy to remain bullish until this gets violated. And if that does get violated, then and only then would I potentially start thinking about discount PDRAs. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to think that price will get up here. It's just that it's very fickle in its delivery, as you can see. So much back and forth. It's really struggling. But there's high impact news on Bank of England as well. We have Bank of England interest rates on Thursday, so we might find that it's held in consolidation, and I've seen this happen before. What happens is GBP might be held in consolidation whilst dollars rallied crazy on the back of high impact news, and then GBP is then forced to catch up on the Thursday. So what's good about this is because I might not trade when there's moments like this. I will leave the Fed rate, so I'll let Wednesday trade on the Fed, and dollar will expand one direction, and then you'll find that pound hasn't yet expanded in the inverted direction, and then you'll see the setup form on the Thursday, and then that's when you want to start trading, because we're trading the pairs, aren't we? We're not trading the dollar. Excuse me. And then obviously if it's supporting the buyer, so let's say dollar does manage to expand lower but pound still in some kind of consolidation, then I know moving into the Thursday is probably going to need to catch up, and the only way it can do that if it expands higher, so then I'll be looking for my setup around 8:30, etc. So you can see how my setups tend to form. or how I go about thinking about it. But we'll speak more on that on like Wednesday or on Thursday this week. So I'm going to mark out this 4-hour fair value gap. Wednesday or Tuesday, sorry. This 4-hour fair value gap. You can see how we're tapping into it. We'll probably feel this maybe, but again, I'm not going to talk too much because genuinely, I don't really want to mess. As in, tomorrow, for example, Monday. Yes, we have high impact news. If we're looking bullish, like we might find that price starts moving off the bat. If price is moving and we're starting to see quite a lot of, volatility and swings and such, and we're starting to trade higher and seeing bullish PDA rates respected, I'm happy to trade. It's just that on a Sunday there's only so much you can do, guys. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that on pound. So let's now finish up on Euro USD, which is a little bit more inclined towards the dollar. This is last week, and you can see our price just played around with that Sunday opening price. Found support of it, taps into this, which I drew our attention to. So let's go on the monthly here as well, see what's going on. And you'll see there's a monthly fair value gap, and similar to dollar, remember I was saying I'm looking for that 50% level to get traded to, which is why I have this marked out. I spoke about this last week, but yeah, that still remains relevant. I'm looking for us to tap into that. So let's go to the weekly. And same thing, like I'm happy for price to drop at some point during the week to create some kind of low, but then I'm looking for large expansion to take out last week's high, reach that 50% level, and then if price wants to get excited or overzealous or whatever you want to call it, then I'm looking for these highs to get traded and ran to, and you'll see there's a little gap that I like the look of in the premium here. But let's go to the daily, and you can see how we're taking out this low here. This was a Sunday opening price, don't really need that. And the lowest I'd want to see price trade, well, we have this bullish order block, not ideal, but you can see my current trading range. Basically, I'm looking at this to here, and you can see how we're finding support at that 50% level off this trading range. So the lowest I'd want to see price go is the 25% level. Ideally, it doesn't even get below the 50% level, but that looks unlikely. If we go to the 4-hour, you can see our price just kind of mingling about. Again, very consolidated. So there's only I feel like we really need to let Monday trade, or be patient, because I don't think, like I said, weeks like these, the best time to get in, or I find, or when I get the best moves, is generally the Thursday and Friday, as opposed to before, because Fed. So yeah, we're just consolidating. You can see this is the trading range. The reason I've drawn our trading range is to show how price refers to these levels. Like, look at this, respecting 75% level, volume 75% level, 25% level. Like, although it's not sensible, it's using it to navigate itself. So if we find that price can't get down below this 50% level, what's that showing? It's showing us a level of strength that we can add to our confluences as to why we want to see price expand, take out this high, and hit our next target, our main target. So yeah, something food for thought. Again, the Sunday opening price this week is going to have a big impact, but generally speaking, very high resistance, as in lots of consolidation. And again, I just don't want to see price drop too much. It's just, if it will, it will. Like, if it does, it does, because we might find that it might want to grab sell stops below here, maybe early in the week, then have a crazy reversal later. But overall, for this week, I'm looking for this to get traded to, and then once that's traded to, I'm happy for us to fill that monthly fair value gap, and then we can start thinking about even higher premiums and gaps that we've seen on the higher time frames, maybe above here. Oh, I didn't realize I had the economic calendar on. I hope that didn't throw you guys off or anything. So yeah, that's going to be everything, guys. Hope you found this insightful. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, and turn on post notifications, and join me over on Discord. All the links are in the description, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.